Hey everybody, this is Ben Bardens from Studio Arts here with an After Effects quick tip. Today I want to take a quick look at a new feature inside of After Effects that gives you the ability to take Illustrator files and extrude them into 3D objects directly inside of After Effects without having to go to a third-party plugin or outside of After Effects to another application. So let's get started. Here's my Illustrator file sitting on my desktop. This is what it looks like inside of Illustrator. You can see that I've set up the file so it's already in an HD frame size to match my After Effects project, and I've separated the logo into layers. So it's a lot easier to extrude it into 3D and animate the individual parts if you separate it onto layers like this. So that's what the file looks like. Now here's how to deal with it inside of After Effects. So I start with a blank project and I'm going to go ahead and import my file and locate it and hit OK. And when I get the layer options, I'm going to bring it in as a composition using layer sizes and I'll hit OK. That sets up the composition automatically. I just double click it to open it up. And there's the layers exactly the way they were back in Illustrator. So here's the cool new feature. This is a new feature in the most recent versions of After Effects to be able to convert a vector layer into an After Effects shape layer. So I'll select all three layers, and then from the layer menu I go to Create and then Create Shapes from Vector Layer. You'll see that turns off the visibility of the Illustrator layers and creates new After Effects shape layers with those vector paths on them. Now I could delete the Illustrator layers if I no longer need them, or what I like to do is just move them out of the way. I'll go ahead and lock them, click the Shy button here, and then click the Shy switch to hide those layers. That way they're still in the project and they're still in the composition if I need them, but I'm just hiding them from view. Now with the shape layers that have been created, I can now click the 3D switch to enable 3D for all three of those layers. And then I'm going to go to my composition settings, and under the 3D renderer tab, I'm going to make sure that my renderer is set to either Cinema 4D or Ray Trace 3D, either one of these render engines. The Cinema 4D one's a little faster, but it disables more of your compositing features when you're using it. The Ray Trace renderer is a bit slower, but it disables less compositing features when you're working with it. So this choice will really be based on how fast your computer is. The classic 3D renderer doesn't support 3D extrusion, so you can't use that one. I'm going to go with the Cinema 4D renderer and hit OK. Now that I've made that composition change, I can select the layers, open them up, and the geometry options are now available. I'll open that group up, and I'm going to turn on the bevel option here for angular bevels, and I'm going to set the extrusion depth to about 60 pixels. Now I'll go ahead and close my layers down, and in the composition viewer here, I'll change the 3D view pop-up to the custom view 1 and zoom in a bit. Now you can see that the layers now have some 3D extrusion depth to them, except it doesn't look very good yet. We need to add some lighting. I'm going to go to my top view, zoom back out a little bit, and then from the layer menu, I'm going to add a new light. I'm going to choose point light. I'm going to make a point light about 100% for the intensity, and I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to put that one on that side of my model, and then I'm going to hit Command D to duplicate, put one over here on the other side. I'm going to duplicate it one more time and put one right in front, so I'm lighting it from the sides and from the front. And I'm going to take the one in front here and I'm going to double click it and put the intensity up to about 150, so that one's a little bit brighter. Now let me go back to my active camera view and see how it looks. So you can see I'm starting to get some nice shading with the virtual light layers around the object, and I've now got some nice 3D extrusion depth. Let me go to my custom view 1 here so I can see it at a perspective angle. Now from here I can animate the individual layers to make my logo animate and move, just like you were animating any layers in After Effects using transformation properties like position, scale, or rotation. One last idea here that I'll throw out there before I wrap this up, and this is one of the great things that you can do with these shape layers, is if you open up the shape layer and go into the contents group, you can then add properties to the shape layers, and those can include front, back, side, or bevel colors and light reflectivity options. So for example here, let me go to the front view again, go back to my active camera view, and I want to kick off these highlights on these beveled edges. So I'm going to select that layer, the one for my studio part. I'm going to open it up, open up the contents, go into group 1, and inside group 1 you see all of the paths that were on that Illustrator layer, or in that Illustrator group I should say. And so I'm going to add to that group by clicking on the add pop-up, and I'm going to go to the bevel subgroup, and I'm going to choose the specular intensity to add a bevel specular intensity property to that group. And I'm going to crank up that intensity and see if I can get those beveled edges to be a bit more shiny. And yeah, you can see that the white highlights on those beveled edges now are a bit more reflective. So that's a quick look at the new feature in After Effects that allows you to take an Illustrator layer and convert it into an After Effects shape layer. And then with the shape layer, using either the Cinema 4D renderer or the ray traced renderer, you can easily extrude the layer into a 3D layer and then animate the layers from there. So it's possible to build a nice animated logo like the one I showed here directly inside of After Effects without any third-party plugins or without having to go outside of After Effects at all. That's it for this quick tip. I'll see you next time. Thanks.